right. They're right there, where we used to meet. You guys like it? You're in a good time so far? You're here. We're out and about. Brain Dead Studios. It's so good to see so many familiar faces. I'm Stryker, by the way. Really honored that I get to hang out with the guys tonight. They're standing right outside the door. Please make some noise. AFI, guys, come on out. Here we go. There they go. Wait, hold on. You know this guy. This is Adam right here. You got Adam? Of course, there's Hunter. And I know you know who everybody is. This is Jade. And this is Davey right there. Yeah. We did this earlier. Man, your energy is freaking awesome. So thanks for waiting in the line. Thanks for coming in. At the end of the short film that we just saw, that was a new song.
Indeed, it was a new song.
Okay, the name of it, where in the world did it come from? Please give us the details.
So that was a song called Caught, which we wrote during the body sessions, and you are, aside from the showing before, the first people to ever hear it outside of the four of us in our team. We were really happy with that song, and it came out of the body sessions, and for a period of time it was going to be a part of Bodies, and in the process of deciding which songs were going to make the record and which songs weren't within the surplus of songs that we had at the time, which we typically have in regards to how long we would like a record to be versus, a truncated version. Caught had made the cut for a while, and then really last minute, I don't remember when or specifically why we were looking for a shorter running time, and we felt the flow would be better without Caught while still really loving the song. And when we collaborated with Kes.
Kes is the director.
Kes is the director of the short that you just saw. And we thought this context would be a great one to present the song and to present it to you today. So I hope you enjoyed it.
It was awesome. All right. And a lot to discuss with the short film and coming up on 30 years of AFI. I don't know if you guys know that. 30 freaking years. Adam, I'll go to you on this one. Wait, when you guys are putting together the album, any album in the history of AFI, and you've got all these songs, what does it come down to when something doesn't get on the record? Is there a vote? Or how does it work with you guys?
Yeah, we're a real democratic band. We make lists, and we each, there's usually 7 or 8 songs that we all agree on. And then from there, somebody might like a handful of one and a handful of the other. But it really just comes down to a vote. Sometimes one of us will make a real strong argument for a song. In this case, I said this, in the earlier screening, but I really like the song Caught, and I really fought for it. I don't play on it at all, but I just felt like it was a really good song, and it really was gonna be important on the record. And so I was kind of crushed when it was left off, but then we found a spot for it. So. Yeah, we vote. That's it.
And conversely, with Very Proud of You.
Also, though, Davey, don't you think that is a really selfless act of a band member who is not featured in a song? Because I'm serious, and you guys have probably met other bands and seen bands, and a lot of times, someone that's featured in the song is like, I gotta do more in the song. He's saying, no, I'm not even in the song, but I want this to be on the record.
Yes.
That's pretty damn cool.
Just a glorious display of a lack of ego by Mr. Adam Carson and an appreciation of the track. Of course, even then, it didn't make the record. It was part of your plan all along. Yeah, it's exciting to have it released because we all do really like that song, and we thought,
The songs that were featured in the short film, all from Bodies, your guys' album, it was Back from the Flesh, Escape from Los Angeles, and then the big inspiration for it was your song Tied to a Tree, because you say, where we used to meet. Mm-hmm. Did you know which songs the director was going to use in this?
We really didn't know what Kes had gravitated toward until we saw a preliminary cut of the film and heard the title, and as you said, it was very clear that he took a lot of inspiration from Tied to a Tree and the lyric to Tied to a Tree, which is refrained throughout the piece. And his his connection with that particular lyric and the image of being tied to a tree, apparently, according to Kess, when we discussed this along the way, is what inspired the entire narrative. It was that image that he took and the bleakness of that image and the helplessness of that image, and went from there to create the narrative and the piece that you saw. And we didn't know until further along the way, and I thought he did a beautiful job. He makes a really beautiful film.
Yeah. We're going to get to everybody, of course, that's up here, but Davey, I go to you again on this just because there's so many theaters that this could be held at, and here we are at Brain Dead Studios.
Yes.
Why and how did we end up here?
Okay, this is a wonderful place, and Brain Dead, for those of you who don't know, is a very curated brand and fashion line that can be seen upstairs, just not on tonight. And the boutique, the first brick and mortar shop, is this theater, and it's beyond that. The brand, it's cultural, and the gentleman who started it come from music. And I had a relationship with Kyle, who began the brand, not from our early days in the Bay Area together, where we were together, but from meeting him when I was writing Love Fast Los Angeles, just up the street at Commissary Coffee, which has a great coffee if you ever need one, but not now, it's too late. Kyle approached me and introduced himself, being a straight-edge kid, adult, grown man, from Walnut Creek, and we're all from Oakland in the Bay, so he had been, 510, he had been familiar with our work, and we started a friendship then. And he, I believe, Matt, are you in the room? Yeah. What year did Brain Dead start?
Like 8 years ago.
Yeah, so he just started Brain Dead. In fact, I think he had just finished his other line and was moving on to Brain Dead. And time went on, and they created this cultural center. So they moved into this classic theater. This was a silent movie theater, and it was open for years and years and years, and you could see great art films here, French cinema, Brothers Quay documentaries, just many, many facets of fine film. And then sadly it shut down. And of course these gentlemen, being of fine taste, moved in, reopened the theater, continued to show great films here, opened their boutique upstairs, opened a great cafe in the back, and started doing events here. There are live performances here, there are special screenings, and we were thrilled that they invited us to collaborate with them on this and to host this experience, because they're music people. Madison could come up here and talk music all night. So could Kyle. They have great records up there. And that's what Brain Dead is, and we're honored. Thank you, Matt, and everyone at Brain Dead for having us.
This is another question that came in, and I like this one a lot. I'm sorry I don't know your name, who wrote this, but I saw it on the cards. I mean, you guys have been doing this so long. You built up this fan base that is so dedicated. It's from the live shows, the authenticity, all the records. You guys never slow down. But if you could tell yourselves something, young AFI, what would you tell the current AFI? That's the question. What's the advice? Davey? Hunter, we're starting with you.
Okay, so this is young. This is current me talking to young me.
This is, yes.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Remember, it was the card that said that, not me.
I mean, I think it's that typical take each moment to appreciate each moment as you're in it, because everything happens so fast, and suddenly here you are in your middle ages, and where did all the time go? So yeah, just that's, I guess, generally what I would say.
Adam, you want to jump in on that?
Sure. I would tell us that our second record, Very Proud of You, would be a really good 12-song album.
Look.
It'd be really, really good. Doesn't need to be 22 songs.
Here. We were bullied, okay? There was a bully in the band. He was unbearable to be with if he was cranky. And he would be cranky, so it was better for us to accede to this, what we knew was wrong. What was putting all of these songs, and as a result of that, let me talk about that. As a result of that, does anyone know who Pusshead is? Okay, so Pusshead is an artist that we grew up loving, right? fucking cool artist. He did a lot of punk rock flyers. He did like heavy metal flyers, skateboard art. He had a column in Thrasher magazine, which was one of the few places to go, especially if you didn't live in a cultural epicenter, to find out about real music. And one of those places was, it's true, it's not, it's true. And he had a article called The Pus Zone, where he would talk about real music. So growing up, we read that long before we ever had a band. In the early 90s, I guess it was 93, around 93 or 94, maybe 94 or 95, Pushead came to us and offered to put out a 7-inch on Bacteria Sour, his label. It did take forever. We gave him 4 songs. One was a Negative Approach cover, right?
Yes.
And then the other 3 were eventually appeared on Very Proud of You, right?
Yes.
Now, in the cranky person's defense, years ago, like forever had gone by and the 7-inch hadn't come out, but he insisted on putting all of these songs on the record, and we're like, no, it's gonna come out on the Pushead 7-inch, and then, you know, the crankiness, and so we put out the long record, and then the Pushead's like, fuck you guys, I'm not putting out that fucking 7-inch, rightfully so. So we never got our Pushead, and you never got your Pushead 7-inch. There's gotta be a record collector out there right now who's like, what the fuck, you fucked me, you guys. You should have stood up for the Bacteria Sour 7-inch. And that was an unsolicited story.
It's a good one, though. That is good. Jade,
Yeah.
this question is for you.
All right.
How do you maintain your incredible good looks?
Now, to be fair, I fed him this question backstage. I didn't think he was actually going to answer it. You know, I could go on all night. You know, clean living, that clean LA air, it just does wonders. Does wonders for the complexion.
So, as we've mentioned, it's coming up on 30 years, and you bring up Pushead and these songs from so long ago. Your early shows were all in Northern California. How did you guys, like, was it a van? Was it separate cars? Did you get to Southern
Separate cars.
California for your first shows, and where the hell were they? Davey? Jade, can you give him the mic?
First shows in Southern California?
Yes. Like,
oh yeah.
What was the process of everybody getting down here?
Okay, that's a great question. Our first show in Los Angeles was at the Whiskey A Go Go, right?
Yeah.
In Hollywood.
And we had a van. We had a rental van.
We rented a van.
Yeah, I think
Yeah. So we played down here. Renee,
Yeah.
she was a dom, and she was in a band called He Is Dead Jim.
Yes.
You hear Renee? Good. So no one can fact check this. I'm gonna.
Make some shit up.
Okay, good. So whatever I make up is unintentional, and Renee is not here to tell otherwise. So I don't know, through Flipside something, she discovered AFI, and she was booking a show at the Whiskey A Go Go. We came down in a van. It was like 7 bands or 8 bands. It was as if it were a hardcore matinee, and
Yeah. And then we did an interview for Flipside with Blaze James, right?
yeah, with Blaze.
And he
And
gave us
Blaze
the
talked
worst
shit
review
about
on
us
the
in the
record.
interview. In the interview. We're friends now.
Yeah.
But he did a piece on it. He invited us to do a piece. Okay, but anyways. So we came down to do that. We came down to do that show, and it was like 7 bands, and the headliner, I'm not going to name names, but the headliner was terrible. And we'd never heard of the headliner, but we were first, and they were 7th, and we're like, oh my God, no one's going to be there, which we were totally used to. We were just thrilled to play the iconic Whiskey A Go Go and play the strip. And Renee ensured us, no, these types of shows, there's going to be people there. And there were. We played in the afternoon. We were 1 out of 7. And you don't remember?
I can't remember that.
Oh, I remember. So, and I remember it being great, and we couldn't believe it because it took, at that time in our career, it was late. It was, I don't know, 95, right? So we'd been together for 4 years, and we hadn't played Los Angeles yet. And most other places took a while to warm up to us, including our home. But our first show on the Sunset Strip, everyone who was there, which in my memory was a lot of people, which was certainly less people than are here right now, but for us that was a lot of people. And it was very receptive, and we were so thrilled with Southern California. And then the last band, I'm like, what is this band? It's like, they used to be like a hair metal band, but now they're doing this and this. I'm like, oh, that sounds terrible. And they were terrible. And then like 2 weeks later, they were all over the radio and huge band. You're like, who is it? I'm not telling.
Wait, yes, Davey, please.
No,
please.
no, that's enough fucking shade, even without saying the name.
All right.
But then we played the record store in the party in the garage down in Long Beach.
Cato.
What was his name?
Cato?
Close. Caton?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just,
Caton, are you here? Someone at this, does anyone know what the decline of Western civilization was? Okay, the first one, the punk one, someone at this party was the clown girl. Who's like, I want to be a clown. She was at the party. We couldn't believe it. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah, I
don't,
do.
it was true.
This is a question from the audience, and it says, it's a good one. Do the lyrics "Where We Used to Meet" have any connection to the song "Where We Used to Play"?
That's a great question. So that struck me when I was writing the lyrics for "Tied to a Tree," the relationship of those two phrases. And to say no would be inaccurate. Is there a direct thread? Was it conscious? No, but the anchor of that song comes from a general similar place as Where We Used to Play. So, of course, there is that connection, but it wasn't a conscious decision on my part lyrically to tie the two songs together in that way, but inherently they do have that tie based on the sentiments that underlie each of them. I did question myself for a moment because of the similarity to that line. I had a fear of redundancy, which I suppose I should have more of for those of you who read the lyrics closely. But in the rest of those cases, such as this, I said, fuck it. This is what it means to me, and I'm going to sing it because that's what the lyric is, and that's what I mean. Even if I said something similar in the past, it is coming from a similar place, but it is a different story for me.
Nice. Jade, has the way that you have created the music over so many years, has it changed quite a bit, your process, or is it similar to how you've been doing it the last, I don't know, let's go 10 years?
Technology made a big difference in how any of us musicians can make music now, and so we're able to do a lot more now, and we used to just, plug away with a guitar and voice and hope that it was good, and now you can kind of like demo something out and see if it's good before you force the world to listen to a bad song, so.
And something that you have mentioned before, but I'm curious for bodies, because I don't know the answer. You had 50 different tracks musically, and you said, Davey, here you go? Or he said, here's a notebook or voice memos of lyrics, here you go?
No, we've been doing this kind of the same since I got asked to join the band, and like right before Black Sails, and we sat down to write the first song on that, which is just sitting down with a guitar and playing. And like this record was actually a lot of that. It wasn't very technology based. It was just sitting down with a guitar and strumming away and seeing what comes out. So in that way, not a lot has changed with how we do it.
Got it. This is from one of you guys out there, and it's Hunter. We'll go to you. We'll start with you on this. Did quarantine crush your artistic spirit, or did it offer you a period of more reflection and clarity?
Oh, that is a good question. I think it just gave me a lot more time to do more stuff, to experiment a little more with music and with other art. I guess times were somewhat like crushing, but yeah, it's sitting at home is a lot of free time, and I have a lot of instruments around, so definitely inspiring.
Did the pandemic, Adam, I'll go to you, does it make you, who knows what's going to happen with it, but there are live shows going on, and here we are tonight. Are you in the starting blocks to get out there, or have you been at home so much and you've got the family, you're just like, wow, this is so nice. I'm walking around in slippers and a bathrobe all day, and I'm taking care of the house. Where are you on hitting the road?
I will play anywhere. I'll play anywhere. Like, just, I'm ready to go. That being said, I did try to go to a show like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and walked in and realized I wasn't quite ready to be a spectator. So, maybe that's just conditioning. Maybe it'll just take a while to feel comfortable and safe in a big crowd. But as far as performing, I'm so ready.
And Davey, what about for you for the creativity? Did it halt? Are you feeling more creative than ever?
The initial, it halted my ability to enunciate and use language, but it did. It halted my ability to communicate. In a regard, it's perfect that I slurred that word. It fucked me up. Not emotionally, but my point of creation my inspiration comes from experience and comes from living life, and my experiences in that forum, and life stopped. So I was very lucky. I didn't get depressed. I was subverted and repressed, but I did not have any desire to create anything for various reasons. One, like I said, my inspiration comes from life, but then on the other hand, we were all confronted with survival, and I really was faced with something that I think many artists are faced with, the underlying truth that, well, maybe what I'm doing doesn't matter at all. And when then the world is in crisis and trying to survive, and you're watching people die in the front lines, it's hard to want to make art. Now, as time went on and life started to open up, you realize, okay, you have to have a reason to live. If you're going to survive, there has to be something to live for. And that recognition allowed me the perspective to say, okay, maybe it's okay and not completely selfish and gross to create during this period of time. But personally, again, it took things opening up a little bit more for me to have experiences that I'm just like wildly solipsistic and arrogant. It's just like, if nothing's happened in me, I can't talk about it. And in that regard, we've never really been a political band, and what inspires me artistically, as I said, is not the political sides of things, be it hard politics or socio-political. And so, whereas if Crass were around, or their equivalent, they had a lot they, I'm sure, were very inspired. I heard actually the new Ministry album recently, and Al Jurgensen killed it on the new Ministry record, and he pointed out that he said, my reviewers say that I write terrible records when Democrats are in office, but I write great records when Republicans are in office. So I was coming from a different place. He wrote 2 records. And you guys, Al Jurgensen, he was on the show the other day, and after the show, he said, off air, he said, so Davey, what's up with AFI? What are you guys doing?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
know. I was shook. I was shook. He came on the show. I'm like, Al, just the majority of my life, I've been a fan, and boy.
So you talk about not wanting to create, but I think for me and many people in here and around the world, we wanted comfortability and familiarity. So there were times throughout the pandemic I would put on AFI songs. I'm like,
thank you.
This is making me feel so good today listening to this music and singing along right now.
Thank you. I mean, I'm sure we all saw a lot of that in that quiescence, people were really gravitating toward art. So that was really affirming. I certainly was. I wasn't creating art, but I was reading a ton and taking in films that I hadn't before. And personally, as I didn't have any desire to create anything, I had a lot of time to consume, much like a lot of people did. And I have no question of the value of not necessarily our art, but art in general.
All right, we're going down the line, Adam. We start with you. Everybody has to answer. I've never asked you guys this question before. What was your last job before AFI was full-time, please?
I was a barista at Pete's Coffee.
Is that real?
Yeah, on Piedmont Avenue in Oakland.
Up until like December Underground. No shit. Right? I mean, the man didn't fucking stop.
Wait a minute. Is that true?
Kind of.
No.
He's
No,
like,
it was-
I don't know what's gonna happen. He was right.
No, it was, I think up until Shut Your Mouth.
Really?
It's like 97, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was way longer than the rest of these guys.
You must have been, but like, the customers just must have recognized you right away. Like you got
No,
this
no,
really
not at
tall,
all.
handsome guy
No,
making
no.
some sort of coffee back there.
Oh wait, he was in San Francisco though.
Oh, okay.
They didn't like us.
Oh, wow.
No, it was in Piedmont.
Oh, you were in
Yeah,
Piedmont?
yeah,
Didn't you also work at the P in
No,
San
no.
Francisco? You
No.
just went there,
yeah.
making shit up.
All right, Hunter, what about for you?
Oh, shoot. I worked at a movie theater.
Were you the ticket taker or
I was
the
the
popcorn
ticket
maker?
taker. I'd worked myself up from like the ticket terror to the popcorn maker to the guy selling the tickets to the guy starting the films and working in the projection. And I was like, this is like a cool career path. I'm finally getting somewhere. And then these guys asked me to go out on tour, and I'm like, see you guys later.
Hunter, what were the big movies at the time in your theater?
This was like, Titanic. Men in
Like
Black.
Titanic?
Yeah, it's okay. Men in Black, ID4. What else did we have? Braveheart, yeah. Trying to think.
Those
like
are good.
the kind of like mid-late 90s blockbusters were there.
Okay. All right, Jade.
I worked at a college bookstore in Berkeley, and I got fired. So luckily, I was asked to join this band, and I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had an application from Hot Topic I was thinking about filling out. The one on Telegraph Avenue, so I didn't do that, but I had the application. I still have it. I found it the other day.
Is that right?
What's that?
Really? You've got it still?
Yeah, I do.
Why were you fired from the bookstore?
Because when people were rude to me, I was rude back to them. I wasn't rude first, but I wasn't going to take any shit from a customer, so that wasn't really the party line for the bookstore, so.
Davey Havoc, what in the world were you doing?
That's a nice way of Stryker asking, like, you can't do anything. What could you have possibly done? That's correct, I can't do anything.
Oh, no.
No, you're right. The last job I had, so when you attended UC Berkeley, they facilitated jobs for you that were within the UC Berkeley system. So the last job that I had when when all of the members of AFI at the time, Sans, Adam Carson, were living in the first frat house that was not inhabited by frat boys, but it was essentially like a flop house. We all lived in one room with other people, and it was just a disaster. But part of the disaster was I'd have to get up at pre-dawn to go cater for UC Berkeley events. Now, I think I had dropped out already, but there was this grace period where they would still employ me because they thought I was still a student or something. So I had this job for a brief period of time. Hell. I mean, waking up before noon for me is brutal enough as it is. So I would wake up, it'd be dark, I'd be depressed, there's punks around, and our friend from the valley who's running away, and filth, and everyone in the band is fighting, and and I'd drag myself to the catering, and sterno. I learned about sterno. You guys know what that is? It's like this napalm that you heat those trays with. So that was kind of fun for someone with pyromaniacal stuff.
Passed butter
No,
around?
they wouldn't see us. No. Okay, so it was rare that it was a served catering event. We would just set everything up and then kind of fade away and then come out and clean up so they didn't have to see us. I mean, we were all a mess, but I learned the etiquette of fork, spoon, knife, and where they go. And I don't recall.
Very impressive, and I think you went to Berkeley for a bit. How long were you there then?
Me?
Yeah.
Only 2 years. So I went.
That's like you committed 2 years to a top university.
I did, but then I'm committed. Well, we got we were in Berkeley.
Jade graduated.
Yeah, Jade finished. So Adam and I, he actually finished Berkeley.
Stay in school.
Adam went to Santa Cruz. I went to UC Berkeley, and AFI broke up for 6 months. 3 months, something
like that.
false. And when we decided to do the band, we also decided to drop out of school. Oh yeah, we had a philosophy class together.
Yeah, like his last semester before he dropped out, and he and I had a class together. And like I remember, I always sat in the back in school, and we walked into class together. And he's like, "We got to sit in the front row." I was like, "Oh, you're one of those guys." He's like, "Want to sit in the front row, like teacher's pet." Yeah.
Yeah, and ironically, I assure you, he remembers everything from that class, and I remember nothing. But yeah, and then what year? Okay, so what year did I drop out, and what year did you join AFI?
I joined in '98.
And I dropped out in '95. So Jay joined in '98. I dropped out in '95. So he was busy educating himself.
Mike? December Underground features 3 rabbits on the cover, while Bodies has 3 bodies in a similar fashion as well as a lyrical reference to a white hair. Is there a connection? If not, what inspired the body symbolism?
This has a similar answer to the other question about the lyrical connection is that redundancy, which it is more than anything, kind of goes back to an inherent connection to the inspiration behind whether it be a similar lyric or a similar image. The general concept of the body's art, I had envisioned and brought to the band to see if they would enjoy it, and we talked about it, and we all agreed that it was a good direction for the mood of the record. And that tri-scale that you see does, of course, have a familiarity or a resemblance to the rabbits, being that that's a tri-scale as well. And to me, those icons, those symbols, and the threes, the power of threes in nature, have always personally felt very strong to me. They've been very strong, impactful images, and when I envision strong imagery, oftentimes my mind goes to those threes, and it wasn't an intention. In fact, to be honest, personally, I've had the vision of that tri-scale, and I'm like, I don't want to suggest this because we have December Underground tri-scale, and I have a feeling everyone's gonna like it if I suggest it. So now you see it, but I like it.
A question that has come in quite often in the earlier showing and this one, and a few DMs I got on my own account, was about Dulceria.
See?
There's a lot. What does it mean? So just basically, how did that come together, the inspiration for it?
Why don't we start?
Well, musically, I had written with Billy Corgan before, and for an unrelated thing, and I really liked writing with him. So I thought at the end of writing for Bodies, let's get together with him and just see what happens, because it was fun. And he and Dave are also friends, so I thought it would be like just a relaxed, and he's really good, obviously. And we got together and just wrote a bunch of stuff. We didn't write Dulceria, but we wrote a bunch of parts that I went and took home and kind of pieced together the stuff that I liked the best and created that track. And then, Dave wrote his lyrics to it, and the rest was history.
So Billy Corgan, all the history, and he should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's written song after song after song, but it doesn't mean that the vibe will be good in the room. So what was it about him that you liked while in the room?
Well, when he and I wrote before that, he's just first of all, he's really smart, and he's got great stories, obviously, because he's been everywhere and seen everything. And he's super smart, and as a musician, he's super intuitive, and I'll start playing some music, and he starts singing over it, and it's just Billy Corgan's voice. So it's like something I grew up with. It's like, oh my God, Billy Corgan's singing on my song. It already sounds amazing. How can you go wrong? So he's just really good, and I knew we'd do something cool and interesting that we wouldn't do on our own, and just inject a little someone else's DNA into our stuff.
Cool. Adam, we're going to go to you on this. Listen, first of all, it's coming up on 30 years of AFI. You and Davey starting AFI. That is unbelievable.
We started when we were 7.
Davey, derobing. You got excited for 30 years. There we go. So this is a question from the audience. Which song out of AFI's entire catalog do you think would make a great full-length movie?
Wow. You might have just seen a short film sort of surrounding it. I think Tied to a Tree is a really cinematic song, and it lends itself in that way. But gosh, I don't know.
Adam, I have an answer.
Do you?
It's crazy that I have an answer for that, but I do. So I'm going to step on you.
You're usually really reticent to talk, but
I
you
know.
know.
Yeah,
It's-
Davey, short
you hear
answer.
my
I
voice
can't
again.
believe it.
I heard the question and I was
No,
like,
please.
this is going to be,
Please.
who knows what the answer to that is. But immediately what sprang to mind was, okay, are any of these songs narratives, which the answer is generally no, but End Transmission has a tenuous narrative to it.
Oh.
Huh? I got it right.
Okay. I'll have to refresh myself on those lyrics. I'm not.
All right, I saw this question here in the note cards when I was reviewing them earlier. You have to answer within 5 seconds of when you get the mic on this. If there is going to be a movie made about AFI, Adam, we're starting with you and then we'll go down the line. Who do you want playing you in the movie?
Crispin Glover.
Wait. Crispin Glover? Is that what you said? Yes. Wow. That's a good one. All right, Hunter, you must go for it, please.
Jason Statham.
Okay, A plus answer plus an A plus answer. Jade?
I gotta go with Carrot Top.
Yeah.
But like not the buff Carrot Top, the old school, like skinny Carrot Top.
Anna Taylor-Joy.
Good, you guys are so good. Okay, next up, this is from Andy Red. This is about recording the Bodies album, which came out in April 2020? Wait,
You guys know? I don't know.
It came out
June of
this year.
right? June of this year.
what year is it? Oh, we're in 2020, it came out in June. This is the funniest, I just want to make sure, was there a funny moment recording Bodies that you would like to share? Hunter, do you have something? Adam, Jade, Davey, was there a funny moment recording this album?
Recording's not very funny, unfortunately. I wish it was. It's, you know. I mean, when we record vocals, for instance, we're joking a lot just because who we are. But I mean, yeah, there wasn't like, you know, his pants fell down or something. I turned around. It's like, oh my God, your dick's out. Like, there's nothing like that.
Well, Andy read your question. Not good.
Hold on. So it's true, there is never anything funny happening in the studio, but we didn't record all of this in a studio. I mean, I did all my bass stuff just at home. And so I'm just alone recording. And I'm doing some background vocals. And I have a little vocal booth, and I'm, have to like hit record and then run over and like put my headphones on and sing the parts. And you can hear everything like extra loud in the headphones, and so I can't hear anything that's happening outside of that. And I go to check the take after I am singing, like a line, and then a line, and a line. Go to check the tape, and in between each of my lines, my cat, who doesn't hear the track, had thought that I was like calling out to her, and had let these long like yowls between lines. So it's like you can hear like my line and then my cat's line. And so, but I edited them out before I sent them in, so.
See, something good happened. Andy, I take it back. Ended up being a very good question. I'm kind of ping-ponging all over here because I'm so excited about the Bodies album, but I also get so inspired just like watching how you guys have grown over so many years and those live performances that you do. You just draw people in within like 15 seconds. You're like, I'm locked in right now. Davey, I'm gonna hand the mic to you. The first 20 performances you guys did as a band, what were those like for you as a performer? Did you have confidence? Because when you're on stage, I mean, you're a star at all times, but how were you then?
That is a great question, Stryker. Not a surprise coming from you. I will answer the question, but can you please thank Stryker for us for doing that? He is such a pro. He's always made us so comfortable from the very beginning. He's truly supported us for many, many years, and it's such a pleasure and honor to have you here. So thank you, Stryker. Thank you for the thoughtful question. And the mindless answer goes like this. And I think Adam can attest to this. When we started the band, we're 15 and 16 years old. And at that time, thinking back to that now and throughout the course of our lives, we were so much a product of our influences. And there were so many acts that inspired us and singers that inspired me. And though I did feel very comfortable on stage, I generally still do, there were bits and pieces of artists and performers that I nodded to or thought, oh, those people are so cool. I should move like that, or I should look like that. And those early performances were both naturally doing what I felt, but there was also a large combination of trying to fit into the hardcore that essentially which we were playing and what I perceived those typically traditionally front men to be doing and how to act and feel like that. And so those first 20 shows, which honestly 20 shows probably took us 2 years to play, because no one would let us play, right? Yeah. No one wanted AFI to play, which if you'd seen or heard us back then, you would know why. We weren't good. We were I appreciate the moment, but we were pretty terrible. Jade can attest to that. He saw it. Terrible. Yeah, see? But eventually, as time went on, I shook those influences or any sort of need to fit somewhere or represent something that I wanted to be a part of, and eventually, just let go and let go and just did me. I just lived my true Stryker. Yeah. Yeah? Okay. You want this back?
Yes, please. That was a great answer. Hunter, when is the last time you guys have, whether it was rehearsal or just played a few songs in the same room?
Oh, shoot, when was that? We were in the studio, what? Yeah, when was that, though?
I don't remember when it was, but it was recently. Some of you saw it, I think, possibly, I would presume, when we tracked for the BBC in the Valley.
It was a radio.
It was a couple months ago, Stryker.
That may have been May? I think that was May.
I don't know.
Yeah, and what's funny is we had to get together to play some of the new songs for this radio thing, and we hadn't really spent too much time as a band playing them. We all played our parts individually. We created it in the studio, but and I was like, as I normally am, was like, should we rehearse? Should we get together and kind of dust things off? And kind of no one was into it, and so finally I was like, okay, fine, we're just gonna leave it to today. It's not my fault if this sucks. And I just think we've played together for so long. The first time through was a little rusty, and the second time through was and the third time I think was the take that you might have heard. So I just think that things come together quick. If we were playing any other music, we'd probably really have to rehearse. But among AFI, it's just there's a muscle memory and a way that we understand each other as players that it comes together pretty quick.
I think all of us are in the starting block to see them at the Palladium. Are you guys going to be at the Palladium when we see you there? Okay, good. On that note, I think we're going to wrap it up right there. Oh my God, guys, thank you so much. Give it up for AFI.
Thank you.
Wow, unbelievable. That was fun. Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. Let me get out of the way.